concern that I had, and you briefly mentioned it was the tracking, so I would like to see a condition in here that says that it would maintain the condition so that it does not track. However, we can put that in here. Yeah, I have just concern with that. We don't want dirt and stuff on the roads and everything. You don't either. So I think that should be in here. And then, of course, no heavy equipment. I know that obviously if there's going to be snow, then maybe that's an option. But I think if it's regular vehicles, I'll call it, you'll have a wide variety now. So I think that's. Any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If there are not, then I'll entertain a motion for conditional use 2201 for Sugar Mitchell temporary parking in the Orchard Park subdivision, phase 3, lot 17.
This is John. I'll motion to approve conditional use 2201 with staff edits pertaining to only lot 70 and a conditional for track out.
Second. Motion and a second. Laura, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Joe Cycle,
Yes.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Devin Wood,
Yes.
Craig Lanford,
Yes.
Julie Harris,
Yeah.
Amber Judith,
Yes.
John Sessions,
Yes.
Bill Lewis,
Yes.
Tony Davis.
Yes. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda this evening is vacation 2108 for Seaborn, located at 2934 Circle, in the Oak Tree subdivision, 15-foot vacation of 25 rear yard, and it's zoned R2. Charles and Jennifer, I don't see them this evening though. Now, are you gonna do this?
Yes, I can. So this is lot 42. It is 0.4 acres. It is directly adjacent to a larger parcel owned by Oak Tree subdivision. The request is to construct a pool in the rear yard, which is shown on this plat. If you recommend approval, or if you don't, the council will see this on their next meeting in February 8th. It was a utility easement as Oak Tree platted all of their setbacks as utility easements. The rear yard is currently being used by CenturyLink. That is what that purplish line is in the back. They did say that they do not currently have an issue with this request, but if there's any damage to the line or if it has to be relocated, that is at the applicant's expense. We will have to record this plat once it's met all staff comments. I have not gotten engineering comments on this plat yet, but the exhibit that we received before this was generally approved by engineering. We did get all of the public notifications that were sent out, and we've gotten comments back from 2 of the abutting property owners who have stated that they had no issues. The only person that we are still waiting on is Cox Communications, which is not uncommon with vacation as utilities tend to take their time. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Any comments or questions from any of the commissioners?
Looks like we're still in Cox. Okay.
My guess is Cox is back there with CenturyLink. Would be my guess.
AT&T said they didn't have anything, but did they have
No
plans
AT&T,
to?
there's no.
No, it's not an AT&T service area.
We could approve a contingent upon communication back to Cox. I'm assuming they will most likely say the same thing or similar to what CenturyLink has
Yeah, that's been their typical comment, that
stated.
If you
So-
move it, yeah.
Yeah, if you move it, it's the owner's. If you damage it or need it moved, it's the owner's expense.
And council has also done that before in the past where they have tabled something until they've got no comments. If, when it comes time to council, we still haven't got all the responses that we need. So at this time, what we're looking for is your recommendation.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, then I would entertain a motion for the vacation 2108 for the Seabourn property at 2930 Lawrence Circle.
I make a motion to approve vacation 21-08 Seabourn at 2930 Laurel Circle, pending approval of all utility comments.
Second.
Joe. We have a motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? Thank you, Donna. All right, under other business this evening, we have a discussion on Vaughn Road, South Tycoon, West Tycoon road improvements, the northeast corner of Vaughn Road and future South Tycoon Road, also zoned R3 single family, R3 duplex, 80 acres, and Schubert Mitchell, I guess it's Schubert Mitchell Homes is the developer. Mr. Weary, are you gonna lead this discussion? Do you want staff to lead it or a combination?
I'm happy to kick this off. I'm John Murray with Motion Shipping. Appreciate you all taking the time to visit with us about this. We're moving into the design phase of the subdivision for Schubert Mitchell. And we've had a few discussions with staff about adjacent roads. We had one a couple weeks ago. We talked about the adjacent roads, kind of had a good discussion, had some back and forth about some things to maybe consider, and decision was made to maybe talk to you all, get your thoughts before we move forward. So, do we have
Yep.
That's what I just.
Okay, I was trying to determine what she wanted me to put up
So
there.
the
Well,
property,
first do the location map, just so
Yep,
they can get
I
an
did that
idea
one.
where they're- Okay, and Vaughn Road goes along the south property line.
Mhm.
And then West Tycoon is the north property line, and future Tycoon,
Yes,
north-south, is that down.
it runs the whole way. Well, I can't
That-
see it.
that would be a-
I know, it's under the orange and it's also under
Yeah,
city limits and all kinds of craziness.
but it does.
Yes, that is correct.
So,
Mhm.
I was asking
Yes.
if South Tycoon ran the whole way north. I couldn't see it.
Yes.
Presently it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
On the.
Currently it ends here. Right here.
Oh. And then, that West Tycoon does not go all the way to 271, just FYI, that's a new road.
Yes, that's a connection, that's a future connection also.
Does it stop at the northwest corner
It stops at,
or the
What's the
northeast?
Future north, south.
It ends right here currently,
Okay.
so it doesn't exist through here at all.
Is that correct, John?
That's correct. It stops at the northwest corner of
Yes.
this property.
All roads
And the
stop
east
here.
side,
So there's no East Tycoon?
Currently,
Just a West
no,
Tycoon. Okay.
but it is
there's a south and a north.
on the master street, yes.
yeah.
Master street plan there is, but there's not currently.
Yeah, all roads stop here currently.
And then the east property line of this property is the city limits.
Yes.
Bentonville's on the east side of the property.
Mhm.
So if you could, I'd just like to go through these roads. South, the property's bounded on the south by Vaughn Road, and Vaughn Road is classified as a minor arterial, master street plan, which would be 90 feet of right of way and a 38-foot curb and gutter by curb and gutter section. So this development would construct half of the Vaughn Road improvements, so 18 feet from the center line, curb and gutter, storm drain, and a 10-foot sign. That'll be on the south side. And the intent would be to do that with phase one. If you scroll up just a bit down, you see the red or the phase lines.
Yes.
Scroll down.
Oh, the other down.
The southern portion of this is phase one, and the intent would be to improve Vaughn Road with phase one. Okay? I think we're all on the same page here.
You doing that for your, I was gonna ask you what your secondary point of access is gonna be
For,
when you, I guess, phase two? I assume you
well,
got
phase one is 29 lots,
Yeah.
so we have one entrance,
Sure.
and in phase two, we would have we would have to have an entrance point off of there for fire access. In phase three with phase two.
Phase,
Well, phase two
Phase three.
doesn't connect with phase two.
it would have to be built to here even with phase two. So they could have this access, correct? Because your phase two is here.
Okay. I was just saying your two phase twos don't, like one, it has an entrance that comes in off of Bond. The other one off of the new Tycoon, but they don't connect until they go into phase three,
Mhm.
by the other pond.
Up here. Cause see, here's your phase.
To the point, we won't get into phase lines, to the point, if you would even construct a base road to meet the fire code where that entrance hits the north-south section of Tycoon, or the new phase line, one of the two, whatever Paul wants us to do. This is a concept plan. We'll work that out with you.
Lance is probably home sleeping because he's gonna have a long,
Yeah, he didn't want
Days
days to
and
be
nights
all
ahead.
He said if we need him, he said he would come down, just call and let him, but I told him we could just put on the front speakerphone if he really could. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Moving to the
Tycoon Road.
Tycoon, north-south Tycoon Road, that's a major arterial classified
Yes.
master street plan, which is 100 feet of right of way and 60-foot curb and gutter section, 5-lane road, 10-foot trails on each side. So the intent would be for this development to build half of that. And I guess the question that I proposed to staff would be, would there be any support to consider reducing that road section? Based on, again, the master street plan, this would be, when the property to the west develops, this would be a 60-foot wide lane, which the road is the same thing as Highway 102 or South Bolton Boulevard. And again, I'm just throwing that out there for the commissioners to raise some feedback. Do we think it's realistically that there is a major arterial built through there? Or do we, there's some consideration for something like a major collector, which is a 3-lane, 38-foot back?
We do that because of the, commercial or the business aspect of it, or, I'm trying to remember back to the discussion.
Yeah.
it was kind of a combination of things with the direct route to the
Mhm.
airport.
Airport.
And that was undeveloped and the most, easy access area to go through. John mentioned if staff would support what he has mentioned on the 30-foot wide road, 5-foot sidewalk, and they did have a meeting and staff was in support of that. And then when we extend that, we'll make it really easy to put, go to the collector. And then if we need to go, to the arterial or major, 5-lane, we can always do that with adding on. So
So we were in the 60-foot section, and your proposal was to reduce it to a
38, major collector.
But we'll still have the right of way dedicated.
Yeah, it's still dedicated.
Still be 50 feet of
50 feet of right of way on our side.
Okay.
because we don't have the right of way on the other side.
Right.
So,
So
and
that's,
we're finding in a lot of areas that weren't, like we mentioned last meeting, about reducing in the areas where we don't have the trails planned, looking at that 5-foot of sidewalk right now, and determining where we need those 2-foot sidewalks. We, but along the materials, we can still. So that's the one thing, that's why we can still.
and I guess what I was wanting to propose for consideration is, instead of building half of a 60-foot road, the developer build half of a 38-foot road, which is only 19 feet, but in fact, go ahead and build, say, 24 feet, so there's 2 lanes. And when the property to the west develops, they could build the rest of the 26, the rest of the 12 feet at 38 foot, or even build more, build another 24 foot, just like this guy does. And then you got a 4-lane road that's 48 foot back.
With the right of way being dedicated per the
Right of way
street
being
plan, so
dedicated
in
per
50
master
years
plan.
from now, when we're 250,000 people over here, then we'll have to go by it.
Again,
I mean, I'm gonna say if staff sat down and looked all this over, and it actually makes sense to reduce this space, I know there are a bunch of moving parts, there are a lot of variables in this section. I think I would personally would support that. I would be looking for some design that makes sense in the future to tie into it and extend it with minimal, grade change or whatever. So I don't know if the grading is in such a way where you can super your side.
we
So
actually
it's-
talked about some of those kind of options,
Yeah.
where it would slope all the way to the east side, the drainage would be all the way down the east side,
Yeah.
and when to the west develops, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah.
Take that as the crown moving
Yeah,
west,
yeah.
take the drain on that side.
Yeah, if the drainage can support it, I think that's a good option. But however, if you're gonna build 24 feet, I don't know if you can crown it and build I don't know where that's gonna put it in your lane. The lane that has you driving over the crown, so that makes sense. I'll leave that up.
Well, we can work through that. Again, that's something that the commissioners would consider us working with staff on something.
Because in the letter and from the notes that we had our conversation on, it does say a 30-foot street section.
Well, that's what we talked about. So we
Mhm.
talked about if the intent is to build half of a major arterial, then this developer will build a 30-foot section.
Mhm.
Either 2-foot curb and gutter and 20-foot of paving, or I think somebody made the suggestion that they build a 30-foot back-to-back section.
Mhm.
And then the next developer comes and tears the curb off one side, goes in.
That's what Lance said.
I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but there's just some things that kicked around.
That's
And the next developer may know, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
It's like giving wins.
I personally, I totally 100% agree with Joey. I mean, in the
Yeah.
real world, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we get the 100-foot or the right of way, the 50-foot right of way, the future development is 2.9. And then realistically, real world, I mean, reality, right? That I think a 24-foot section would work, because then the other 24-foot section develops to the west. Then we got basically a major collector.
Well,
And
the
then
major
it's-
collector would be 30.
38 should exceed the major collector standard. So I'm okay with that. Like you said, if it makes sense to staff to work it out. And again, my concern would be the grade. How would that work with the slope of the road? That line of the road, how would that work that out? But
Well, yeah, if we think that the ultimate section is a major collector, it's 38 back to back, and
The
first of
crown would
all,
be
the
in the
crowns the road
yeah.
is at that center.
And we'd have to set that for you to design to that. So that would be something that you would need.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm personally, I'm open to that. Sounds like Tony is, I don't know where everybody else is.
I will ask it a different way. Is there anyone that's opposed to this option that's been presented? Might be the easier way to tell.
And so that was a 5-foot sidewalk? And then how
That's
much,
something else we talked about.
green space
reducing
or-
the sidewalk and trail from the sidewalk 10 feet to 5 feet. And the reason that was discussed was because if you look at, again, we're talking about the major arterial. We develop the one, dedicates 50-foot right of way, builds a 10-foot trail, provides 10 feet of green space, and builds a 30-foot road. You can't do it, because you're literally ending construction right on the property line. So we talk about reducing the green space, reducing the sidewalk, reducing something to shift the section over so you could tie off your grades and everything on the west side. That was during the discussion about that. And I asked the question about the support for just moving from a major arterial to a major collector.
Mhm.
I don't think that discussion was part of it, because if you build half of a collector at 50 feet, you have room for a 10-foot sidewalk.
Mhm.
Green space, if you want to.
Mhm.
So if we determine,
I think they have to reduce the green space.
if we determine
Yeah, but there's
that
still wiggle room in the
we're
green
looking
space.
for the 38 back to back on this section, and you build it over that, maybe it makes sense to flip the trail section to the other side,
Mhm.
because you're building over technically what would be required.
Mhm.
And so that would be a, you know, a give and take, that would even it out. Right? So you propose 24.
24.
Yeah. So maybe the 10-footers on the other side of the road with that. With that.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good question.
I was waiting for him to ask you for some trees.
I was gonna say, where are the trees along Tom
We're not
gonna be?
even, when the plans come in, that's what we'll talk about.
You know it's coming.
East West Road.
I don't know that
We
it's
think
an
about this.
green space for trees.
There was some plans to do some landscaping in the east-west road in the subdivision. That's not showing now, because that's going to be a separate boulevard.
Oh, yes.
We're dealing with an overhead electric line through there too, so the trees may not be an option. Sorry.
Redbud trees.
Through here.
They have a special list you can plant under their power lines.
Yeah.
I think they
Just
do.
no
I know they just changed
Yeah.
engineers over there again, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll revisit when you get the plans up.
They do require smaller trees.
So, as far as your build out of that road, what are you proposing with that?
North side?
North side.
So it'd be a,
I guess my question relates to thinking. Are you
Yes.
building the whole?
well,
thing?
again, what I would propose to do is whatever Paul wants. If we need to build the first half with phase 2,
Mhm.
and then we build the rest of them with phase 3. That would make sense. I don't know that, prefer not to build the whole road with phase 1 or 2. But maybe break it up in a couple phases to kind of follow the phase on.
Unfortunately, I think whenever we discussed this, I think with section 2, or phase 2, all the way to that, for 75
Sorry.
thousand pounds, just so that way we have that access north, because phase 2 is so large, and your entrance is off of Fawn Road, I think you'll be a little too close. I don't have to have, like we always do, I don't have to have the blacktop, I don't have to have the finished road, I just have to have the 75,000 pounds in 40 feet.
So maybe build the entire road to the boulevard and build base, subgrading base all the way to the north end.
Yes.
And then pave it,
Right.
something
Right. I'm just
like that. We can
afraid,
work out something like that.
I'm just afraid with phase 2, we're gonna have to have northern, we're just gonna have to have northern access with that.
Because it will connect to the gravel road that's up there.
Right.
That's your question, Mark.
Yeah.
Then, okay, so you're going to, with the first phase, you're gonna build up to the boulevard we're taking?
Phase
I think that's what we would do, build
That's
the
basically.
second phase we would build to the boulevard.
Okay, with phase 2,
And then,
okay,
and
And then-
subgrading base all the way to the north
okay,
end. To meet whatever Paul needs.
okay.
The orange ones are duplexes.
Duplexes.
And the green ones are 2-story, as opposed to single.
And then I assume West Tican.
Is that the north one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the north road is, sorry, the east-west road on the north side is classified as a major collector on the Master Street plan. So again, it's 90 feet right away, 30 foot back to back, for trails on each side.
80 feet of right of way. 80 feet of right of way, major collector. Minor arterial is 90.
No
problem.
8 feet right away, 40 feet to the right of way. And what we talked about, so we talked about developer 1 building half of a 30-foot section, which makes no sense. or building some kind of a modified section that provides at least 24 feet of paving. And then, we asked staff if there was any support to introduce a 10-foot trail or something less, like maybe a 5-foot trail on the north side. And further, if there would be consideration to just waive the requirement to build the road and pay a fee in lieu of instead. And probably the biggest reason for that is, again, this property line is Bentonville, so it's based on, I think Diane was gonna talk to.
Donna did reach out to Bentonville. I
They
don't,
have not responded back yet,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Just to see if
I
there
did
are
look.
any plans to build.
Oh, talk to
anything.
him on
I looked at
That
the,
town.
I know somebody over there that try to help you get in touch with it.
I looked at their development map and their proposed projects.
I don't think
What
we
they
have.
have is clear over on 279, and it was just a simple track split for
We don't have
big
anything
parcels.
after that.
yeah.
And I think Pico has their asphalt plan in there too, and so the likelihood of that extending to Bowman Road.
Well, it looks like it runs on the north side. Plant, right?
It does.
Yeah. So, John, I mean, my question was gonna be, you have no
Well, it
street
isn't
stuff
here,
to
that's
West
very
Tycoon to the
correct.
north. I think that would be beneficial. Because you're funneling, currently you have 3 exits, entrances, exits.
1, 2, 3, yes.
I thought we had discussed that you needed one to the east-west type. I thought that we had discussed that putting a connection to that east-west type instead of them all north-south.
I believe so, way back in the beginning.
Personally, I would like to see that, and then I don't like, obviously, I have the fee in lieu with North Temple. So I think some sort of, I'm gonna treat it just like we did the western road there on South Tycoon, where if the section doesn't make sense on Western Street, and everybody's in agreement, that we come up with some sort of, idea of what it needs to be on to, and that we hold it. And, whether we do the same thing that we did on, we got some same names on South Tycoon on the west side, where obviously you have to build something that works, 2 lanes. So, I'll just leave it up to you guys to figure that out, but I think it could be a similar situation to South Tycoon.
And what staff was proposed to us in the meeting was a 24-foot asphalt section and a 5-foot sidewalk in the ditches. So that's 24, and, yeah. No curb gutters.
No curving roads.
It'd be this.
Instead of building half or 19-foot with curb gutter,
Right.
but a 24-foot.
So that way you have a full road and not
I personally.
3/4 of a road.
Just like the no curving.
no curb and gutter.
Because you're never gonna get that, ever. We're never gonna come back and do that.
What's that?
I said, we would never come back, you can't ask the other developer to do the southern side, curb and gutter and storm sewer. So I feel like if we don't get it with these improvements, we're never gonna have that.
Okay, so maybe instead of 19 feet back to curb to edge of asphalt, it's one shore, it's in the trail. Maybe it's 24 feet.
And it's yeah.
Curb and gutter,
Exactly.
5-foot trail.
Yeah. And that 10-footer
Give us
gets,
5 feet of sidewalk and then 4 feet of asphalt.
That's just what you're saying, you could
So
put the trail on
this
the other
one-
side.
you flip the trail to
You
the
put
other.
the trail to the other side, you don't have that problem.
Exactly.
So like this one here.
Something like that. You'd have 40
The
foot
10 foot?
right of way.
The 10 foot?
You flip it
You
from
put that
the,
trail from the north side to the south side.
now, hold on,
That would
maybe
all need to be
maybe I'm confusing
conditioned.
things, because what I'm used to is there's a 10-foot trail on one side of the road and a 5-foot on the other.
Mhm.
And is that how ours is set up?
It's set up technically to have a 10 foot on both sides.
A 10-foot sidewalk on both
That
sides.
Yes.
we found that is excessive, and especially on
Is that gonna be
these roads,
realistic?
so we're wanting to just look at a 5 foot on one side and 10 foot on the
10,
major
yeah, I
roads
agree, yeah.
and major arterials.
Okay, just so I understand, so.
So if
Sounds
we
like
flip that trail to the
staff
other
and
side,
commission are both.
then the other developers gonna have to match whatever is existing there. You're gonna get the same amount, you're not gonna come back and not do the curb because it's already on the other side of the street.
Okay, 2-lane road with curb and gutter, and 5 foot side.
And 5 foot green space. And the 5 foot green space.
5 foot sidewalk and then a lot of green space, about 20 feet of green space behind the
We
sidewalk.
got 434, so we should be able to do that.
Mhm.
It's some trees.
4 or 5 feet on it.
So it would be this.
What's that?
He said it's some trees.
Sorry. Not with curb and gutter.
Okay, so this is what's decided for this West Tycoon, East-West Tycoon?
Yeah. Well, is
That's the
the,
asphalt width a little bit, maybe 2 feet.
Cause I know on all the other ones, we've requested 24 at the minimum for other subdivisions when building a same kind of cross-section like this.
is that 2 foot? Is that 2 or 3? 2 foot green space behind the sidewalk, is that?
Yes, that is an ADA requirement, so,
That's the minimum.
yeah.
That's where when we're looking at these roads and the construction, that green space behind the sidewalk, that's where we want our variable to be.
Between the right of way and the sidewalk? So John, that cuts you, in our quick calculation we did, I don't think we factored in the extra 2 feet of green space.
So it's
Yeah, I think
26
he ends
feet
up
and
with
10 is
38
36 feet, so you still got 4.
You still got 4.
Yeah.
It does, again, I'll ask it this way, is there anyone that's opposed to
Latest
discussion
plan.
of the latest plan? I'll say,
I was just thinking through it, I think the only thing that could throw a wrench in this is if, for some reason or another, on West Tycoon, South Tycoon, that 10-foot section doesn't make sense flipping to the other side. And I'm gonna leave that up to staff. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Well, of course. Okay, so now what was just so that I make sure that I have it correct.
Essentially, I think South Tycoon and West Tycoon were the same section, right?
Okay, so we're gonna still only do
Proposing?
24,
Yes, there'd just be
Well-
more green space, but on, because you have it
Well,
right
I should have
away.
been proposing, I should
You have 5 foot addition right away on north and south.
Or did we say 30?
I know staff had recommended 30.
30?
The street section and the sidewalk section for minor arterial and the major collector on the side. The difference is the right of way and green space.
Here's a major collector.
So 30 foot, 10 foot trail on both sides.
Here's a major arterial, oops, Health Boulevard, right here. I'm gonna zoom in so I don't blow you, so beware I'm gonna blow your brain up. Okay.
That's not what we were talking about, right? We had discussed adjusting the street section to a
Major.
What's that?
And I guess
This
what
is
I'm
a major
saying
arterial, which
Major.
is,
The major collector and the minor arterial in the center section. Just different right of way and green space.
here's the major collector.
There you go. But what we are doing, instead of the trees right along the road, this public wants to use that variable space on the back of the sidewalk and keep everything consistent so that they can maintain the roads and signage. We'll have the 5 foot of green space, 5 foot of sidewalk, and then the variable green space behind the sidewalk. And that's really helped with us being able to say, okay, here's the center line of the road, this is what's gonna lay in, and then that's kind of flexible out.
So no trees is what you're telling me?
No, there will be trees, there's gonna be a ton of trees on the other side. No.
So it's gonna be 24 also on,
It's
More
their
south.
section, essentially what they're actually building is the same, the green space might change.
correct.
I think it's probably just.
Yeah.
Where are they building? Based on.
Keeping that correct?
Yes, sir.
All contingent, all contingent upon
With this,
that.
understanding what the commission wants.
And a palm tree cell phone tower
Oh, Lord have mercy, those are headaches.
betwixt to.
Betwixt.
Under announcements,
Amongst the cats.
under announcements, if you didn't turn in your financial interest
Oh, I
paperwork,
didn't.
it's due.
Mine.
Next tech review meeting is 2/3. And there should have been an email from Mayor Bill with the financial interests attachments. If you didn't get that, reach out to the mayor to make sure that you get it. It should have been a document that we complete each year that financial interest.
Today.
Yesterday.
Probably in my outbox. I'll go check.
The next, tech review meeting is 2/3. The next council meeting is 2/8, and our next planning commission meeting is 2/15. If you can't be here, please let us know. And is there anything else from staff? If not, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved.
Second.
Devin and Tony, is anyone opposed?